Is this transhumanist movement something that is coordinated and happening intentionally, or is it the natural development of this sort of technological economy that we've developed since the advent of the internet?
I think it's very purposefully being coordinated. I think it's part of a very nefarious plan to drive humanity towards a place where we just simply stop being who we are. This is how crazy it is. Transhumanists believe that the only way we will survive the future is by transforming into something else, by merging with technology. I can't think of a more defeatist future than that. You know, how can that be our future, that we stop being who we are? The plan or the goal, let's say, the goal is not so much to make us better or to make us more resistant or to make us superhumans, like they like to say. The purpose is total and utter control of humanity. And this is why we're seeing this very large, very strong push to digitalize everything. We will be one more thing to be digitalized. Technology is always a double-edged sword. And so in the right hands, technology can play an extremely important part of our lives, and it should do. You know, my point is always that technology must be there to assist us, to make our lives better, not to replace us, not to transform us, and definitely not to destroy us. So I'm not against technology, and I'm definitely not against technology that assists people with a disability, for example, to gain a normal quality of life. Now, that's very different to the transhumanist goal of eradicating humanity as we know it, to become what, you know, in the words of Yuval Noah Harari, gods. You know, he speaks of I mean, that's a delusional concept of what we are or what we should be. I think that when you understand humanity to be what we are, and we are already eternal souls, that, you know, that's just a knowing inside of me and luckily inside of a lot of people. We don't see ourselves like transhumanists see ourselves. But there was an article last year that just really pierced my heart, because I don't think I've ever read anything that felt more insulting. And in the article, it was an interview to a young woman, an Oxford educated scholar, part of the Future of Humanity Institute, which was founded by none other than Nick Bostrom, who, as you know, was the author of the theory of simulation, something that's been, you know, spoken about a lot. He's written a lot of books. But she referred to humans as ape-brained sacks of meat. And when I read this, I was so outraged, and I just couldn't believe that anybody could have such an insulting and reductionist notion of humanity. And that just really, really made me so outraged that I thought, you know, I need to get to the bottom of who these people are that think that they can refer to us, to you, to me, to everybody listening to this program right now as monkey brain sacks of meat. And this goes to the core of who these people are and what they believe we are and how they think of us. Just imagine what they're capable of doing if that is the notion that they have of humanity. What is important is for people to understand the premise of transhumanism. And if we go back to what they believe that we have no soul, and they believe that there is no God, and so there is no spiritual realm. This is it. That's why they refer to us as sacks of meat. And so the beginning of the premise or the notion, their belief is, in my opinion, obviously so wrong and so mistaken that anything that they do or comes out of these people going forward is just not going to be a good thing, obviously, because they are no longer understanding, appreciating, and respecting the sanctity of who we are as human beings. I mean, the truth is we are the most sophisticated biological beings on this planet. But they have this intent of making us believe that we are weak, that we are frail, that we are hopeless, that we are helpless, so that they can sell us this dream future of immortality. But what kind of immortality are we talking about? We're talking about digital immortality. I mean, do you want to be digitally immortal? I don't. I mean, even the of living 10,000 years doesn't appeal to me very much. It kind of defeats the purpose of life itself, right?
Right. If life becomes cheap, then what's the point? So it's interesting to me that this transhumanist movement is seemingly coming to the fore in the context of the transgender stuff that we've been seeing a lot internationally with TikTok and stuff like that, as well as the thinking behind the climate change initiatives. The thinking is that we as human beings are a plague on the earth, and therefore it's sort of morphed into, rather than saving the planet, an anti-human agenda. It's not about making the planet better, but making humans just less a part of it. So do you think that these things are connected, or is it just sort of a coincidence that we see these sort of transgender movement along with the climate change movement, along with the transhumanist movement all at the same time?
It's absolutely connected, Chase, absolutely connected. And it really is all down to making us feel like it is our fault. This is always the message. It's our fault. The weather and the climate crisis is because of what we do or what we don't do. And now they're physically abusing young people with this whole gender ideology nonsense. And this really all forms part of the same agenda, which is to make us lose everything that really makes us strong, that makes us connected to one another, that gives us meaning and purpose. It becomes much easier to convince a population that is in such a weak, immoral position psychologically, to convince them to accept merging with technology. It's all part of it. I think the most important thing to really draw people's attention towards is the fact that none of the things that we're talking about, none of this horrific dystopian future in the way that I see it, will come to fruition if we don't cooperate. They need of our cooperation to make it happen. And the only way that we stop cooperating is by becoming aware of the plan itself. Once you begin to identify the little steps that are taking us towards that dystopian future, we might be able to make different choices, to say, no, thank you. I am not complying. I'm not acquiescing, and I'm not going to be following your lead towards a direction that I really don't believe in, and I don't think it's what is best for humanity.